Hello, everyone. I'm Dijon,
And I'm Aiara.
and welcome to the Mustardcast, the podcast about the art of storytelling and how it's used across different mediums. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see our channel grow, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. As usual, free Palestine. Donate. I've been donating a lot lately, um,
Mm.
because I realize I always see them, I always repost them, but I'm like, I need to donate more, so I just started donating some more. I just for
Right.
me, I always feel weird about clicking links.
I get it.
I'm always
Yeah.
afraid that someone's taking advantage of the situation. I click a link and I get hacked or something like that. But those
Right.
all of the links so far have taken me to GoFundMe.
That's what I say. Yeah, there's like Google Docs out there that like say which ones are like legit and stuff. And there's also like arab.org where you can do your daily clicks, which I do. And I do a lot of charity zine work. So like I'll participate in zines, write for them, and then they get released to the public and the proceeds go to charity. Those also work just wherever you can get in, fit in.
Yeah, and what is it? I've been Metal Gear Solid obsessed. Well, my entire life, but definitely recently a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more because of a Snake Eater. But I've been thinking about a big part of that. This is a spoiler. Never mind. That's a spoiler. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that. Forget it. I was gonna say something
Okay.
in relation to Kamala Harris, but I think I'm still gonna get the thought through, but without spoiling Snake Eater.
Right.
But I'm just gonna cut that out. Pretend I didn't say that. But
Okay.
my hope is that she does something. You know, that
Yeah,
maybe
for sure.
she's doing this to get elected, and once she's elected, she does actually like start to make change in terms of
Right.
providing aid to Palestine and stop providing aid to Israel. That's the idealistic side of me. It's like maybe she's faking it to make it, and then when she makes it, she'll make some change. But I doubt it.
Yeah.
That's probably not gonna happen. But we can
It's
hope.
better than the alternative, yeah.
But
Which is like, yeah.
yeah. Um, moving on to what media we've been interacting with lately. What you got?
So I've been playing a lot of Collective Unconscious, that Yume Nikki fan game on Yume Nikki Online, which has been really fun. Badge hunting is like going well. I'm like at least 70% done with them, which is really scary because then I have to move on to another Yume Nikki fan game. I only know about a couple of them. So that's a thing. I finished Signalis. I don't know if I feel like I talked about this to you off casts, but I finished Signalis. And it was really, really good. Like really, really good. Kind of cried at the end. It's that good. But I'm doing my new game plus playthrough to get the true ending now, and that's been going well. But I really liked Signalis. It was really good. Definitely like cannot recommend it enough. It's a great game. Um, I think that's it. I think that's literally it. It's been Collective Unconscious and then Signal. Oh, I was gonna try and go see Whiplash this week in theaters because it's back for like its 20th anniversary on the 20th, but I don't know if I'm gonna make it. So regardless of if I make it to the theater or not, I'm gonna be watching that later this week, and that's fun. It's one of my favorite movies.
20th or
Good.
10th?
The 20th for Whiplash, yeah,
20th? Are you sure
yeah.
about that? Wait,
Mm-hmm.
are we talking about the same movie?
Oh,
The one with J.K.
the 10th
Simmons?
and 10th
Oh, because I would say
anniversary
that movie for sure has not
yeah,
been out for 20 years.
20 years. My bad.
I was
Yeah,
very
it's
confused. I was like, is that movie older than I think it is?
yeah, it's the 10th anniversary, and it'll be back in theaters on the 20th. Got my wires crossed there, but yeah, that movie, it's great.
Yeah,
It shows the band kid experience.
I watched it for the first time a couple years back. I know there's like a was it started off as like a some indie project, and like there's a 30-minute YouTube version of that on, or a 30-minute version of it on YouTube. That was like the initial idea before it became a feature length
Really?
thing. And I had it in
Mm,
my watch list for the longest time, but ended up taking it out because I just never got around to it. I might have to check that
that's
out.
real.
Um,
You should. It's a good movie.
I've seen the movie. I just haven't seen
Oh,
that clip.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good movie. Yeah, J.K. Simmons always great.
Yep.
I forget the name of the dude who plays the main character in that. I just remember him from that horrible Fantastic Four movie that I never watched because people kept saying it was so bad. He's also in was it Top Gun Maverick? I can't remember his name at the moment.
Mm, yeah. I can look it up. Hold on.
And also was it her name starts with an M.
Miles Teller.
Yeah, Miles Teller, but I can't remember her name. But since you're looking at it, you can look up her name too. But the woman who plays
Yep.
Supergirl on the CW plays like his love interest in that movie as well.
I think Melissa Benoist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, I've been playing Astro Bot, but I'll talk more about that later. Still playing Red Dead Redemption 2. That game's so good. I'm just in love with this game. I had to look up a horse that I would have never found otherwise because I was just like, I want a better horse. And there's this horse in this area that's like super north in the snowy mountains area that you start the game in that you would never find this horse if you don't. I don't know how people even came across this. So I guess people were just wandering the map and doing stuff and came across it. But I was like, I would have found this horse myself. So I'm glad I looked it up. Yeah, it's just such a good game. I'm dressing Arthur a lot differently than I did in my initial playthrough. Back when the game first came out, and I just like I said, I'm a different gamer. I'm playing the game a lot differently, a lot slower than I used to, and I'm just having a real good time. It's a fun game.
Yeah, they were meticulous about it.
But I also got a 360 copy of Red Dead Redemption 1. So I can play that when I finish with Red Dead 2 because Red Dead 2 is a prequel to the first one. So I'm excited to play the first one after having played the second one because I haven't played the first one since like at least 2011 or 12. It's been a long time. Playing a Warhammer 40k Space Marine, the first one on PS3. Because the second one came out. I was going to try to finish it before the second game came out, but I was like, I give up on that. And I've just been playing the first one at my own pace. It's fun.
Real.
It's a PS3 era hack and slash with some shooting. It's a good time. And I'm hearing a lot of good things about the second one. I'm excited to get around to that one.
Nice.
I forgot to bring this up last episode, but we did talk about it a little bit off camera, and that's Interview with a Vampire.
Oh yeah.
Before we recorded the last episode, I finished the entirety of the first season, but I forgot to bring it up on the podcast. And I think you said you had watched the first episode. And
I've watched up to between then and now. I've watched up to the spoilers, I guess, alert really quickly. I've watched up to the episode where they get their daughter. And then nothing past that. But
unfortunately, well, I don't even know if I should say that. Never mind. I was going to say something about casting, but that might be, even just mentioning stuff about the casting might be a slight spoiler. But so I'll save it until after you finish it. But
okay.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's so good.
Interview with a Vampire is so good. It's just I don't even know what to really say because I'm trying to remember what episode number that even is and what I can talk about. But like, yeah,
the 8th, I want to say.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can't wait to watch the second season, but I have to wait for it to hit Netflix because I'm not subscribing to AMC Plus. There's nothing else on there for me. I'm not spending that money on that. Unless they give me like a free trial, I'll binge it in like 7 days if they give me a 7-day free trial. But I was going to a website to see if they will, and like there was no indication of it. And I was like, did I make an account before? I don't know what's happening. But yeah, I'm trying to think of what to say because I want to get more specific, but I wasn't planning on talking about it at length. But it's about a man interviewing a vampire. What's his name? Louis Point de Blas or de la? What is it? It's some French.
Louis something Point de Lac.
Yes.
Yeah.
Louis something Point de Lac. That's his name. And the interview is taking place in like modern times, but the actual story is from like late 1800s in New Orleans, and the main character, I think in the book he's white, but in the
yeah, he is.
Yeah, in the show he's black, and I feel like that everything about that just makes the show much more interesting.
For sure.
I forgot that there was a movie with why am I forgetting these two very famous actors' names who plays the main characters?
Hold on, I'm googling it.
Hold on, wait, give me a second. I can do this.
Okay, all right, I'll let you cook.
Mission Impossible. What's his name? Hold on, give me a second. Why can't I remember his name? Give me Tom Cruise. Okay, and the other one is his face is in my head. Give me a second. Brad Pitt. There we go.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, they're playing the opposite of the characters you'd think they would, because Brad Pitt is playing Louis, and Tom Cruise is playing Lestat, which you'd think it'd be the other way around, but it's not, which is interesting to me. And I'm gonna have to go back and watch that movie. I heard the movie's not as good as the show, but not bad. So I have to check that out.
Pretty good movie. Not nearly as gay though.
That's
but it's kind of the whole point of it. Yeah.
And yeah, these it's been a real good show. It's very gay about it's about gay
Very
vampires
extremely gay.
and
Yeah.
some abuse,
Yeah.
abusive vampire relationship. Um,
Hmm.
and I was just like went to Wikipedia and started looking up like the list of the many like books in this series. And like
Mm.
this show could go on forever if they wanted to. This could be their next Walking Dead.
Ooh.
But another AMC show that just hit Netflix is Preacher, which is based on the comic written by Garth Ennis, the creator of The Boys. So that had me concerned, but it's not nearly as grotesque as The Boys show.
Ah,
Um,
that's good.
I'm sure the comics probably much worse, similar to The Boys. As bad as The Boys is, the comics are worse. um, so Preacher is about a career criminal returning to his hometown in rural Texas to run his deceased father's church, but he somehow gets the power to control people's actions with his words, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So he starts doing some weird stuff, and it's a fun show. I'm on season 2 so far, all 4 seasons, or I don't even know if there's only 4 seasons, but at least 4 seasons right now are on Netflix, and it's good so far. I'm like on episode 3 of season 2. I binged the first season in like a week,
Mhm.
but now I'm taking my time with the rest of it. So Terminator Zero came out, and
Mhm.
I forgot it was coming out, and then I only watched 1 episode, and it's been out for like 2 weeks, and I fell asleep like in the last 5 or like 9 minutes of the
Oh,
first
wow.
episode because I was just tired. It wasn't a bad show. I was just tired while I was watching it. I
Real.
need to get back into it and actually watch it so I can talk about it next episode. But
Mhm,
the
mhm.
opening of the first episode was great. I believe it's being animated by which studio from behind
Ooh,
Ghost in the Shell standalone complex.
nice.
And yeah, it's it was like a chase sequence of a Terminator chasing a woman. This is taking place in the future, where the Terminators have taken over everything. Well, not the entire show,
Mhm.
just this sequence was taking place in the future. But the show,
Right.
so far has been going back and forth between the present and the future. And yeah, it's fun so far. I don't have much to say about it. I'll have to watch more of it soon. So what else? Actually, I also still watching Superman anime series, of course.
Nice.
Real good show. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember what episode I left off on for some reason. It was a good episode, but my brain just refuses to remember. This show is good. A lot of people will talk trash about it, especially after My Adventures came out. I'm gonna be point blank with you. My Adventures Superman, great show. Superman anime series, way better. I like watch Superman anime series. It's really good. But My Adventures Superman is still great. But people try to make Superman animated series seem like a bad show. It is not a bad show. It is a good show. Yeah, especially the season I'm on. Am I on the last season? I think I am. Season 3 might be the last. Yeah, it's been real good so far. Also,
Nice.
rewatching Spectacular Spider-Man. Great show.
Ooh,
That show needs to come back.
for sure.
But yeah, moving on to animation. We got a trailer, the first full official trailer for Arcane season 2. And it looks great. Have you still not seen Arcane?
I still haven't.
God
I'm
damn
like
it.
one of the last people left on planet Earth who has still not watched Arcane.
You will love this show. It's so good.
I think I'm gonna watch because I saw the first episode. I did watch that. I just need to watch the rest. I'll before season 2 comes out, I will have watched the whole thing.
Okay. Well, I can't analyze.
That's a promise.
I can't analyze this trailer like I want to, but it's good. That's all you need to know. It
I'm
looks
sure
good.
it's fire.
It's great. It's a good trailer. It's coming out in November.
Also, I'm gonna say I'm not really like I don't care about spoilers because I have a friend who's watched it who's really into League of Legends and they've told me all about it. So
okay. Well, I guess I'll
if
just
you
go
want to
into it.
analyze it,
Where is it? What do you know? Spoiler alert right now for people watching.
like I the basic plot. Like is it V or is it Vi?
Vi.
Or am I thinking of a completely different? It's Vi. Vi's whole thing, like her girlfriend, the one guy, Jace, not Jace. Jace is like weird situationship boyfriend guy whose name I can't remember. He's
Victor.
like, yes, I know all about him and like his whole thing, and that's about it actually. And I know one of them becomes a cop. Like,
yeah, Vi becomes a cop. But yeah, you see,
Yeah.
that's all you know. I'm gonna leave it for you to discover. Um,
Okay. Okay.
but you sent me a trailer. This is a rare
I did.
occurrence. Rare occurrence. You sent me
For
a
sure.
trailer, a teaser trailer for season 2 of Castlevania Nocturne.
Yes, out in January of 2025.
Yes, and it looks great.
It looks fantastic.
The first season left off in a very interesting place with the villain winning, and the main characters on the back foot. The main villain blotted out the sun, transformed into like this more powerful like lion form, and turned. Spoiler alert, obviously, if it wasn't clear,
Right.
for the first season, Castlevania Nocturne, and turned Maria's mother into a vampire.
Yep.
Which I'm sure will result in some very delicious drama.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, Alucard appeared and killed that very sexy black vampire lady.
Which I'm still pissed about. I miss her more and more every day.
I'm excited to see where the story goes.
For sure.
Hopefully we learned more about the villain, because honestly, she was one of my least favorite parts of that season. She just wasn't very compelling or interesting at all and felt like she came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
She just was not a very interesting villain in the slightest.
For sure. And then doubly so because I've been playing more of the Castlevania games, so it's like I know the lore a little bit better. Since coming from Symphony of the Night, which I'm almost done with, actually. I should have mentioned that. I'm almost done with Symphony of the Night. It was fun for the first half, and now the second half is kind of dragging. It's fine though. But yeah, coming from Symphony of the Night, Rondo of Blood, Harmony of Dissonance, stuff like that. I'm really excited to see how they work more of like Juiced and like Rondo of Blood and Harmony of Dissonance's stories into it.
Yeah.
Because Harmony of Dissonance is actually my favorite Castlevania game. Because it's a really good game. Yeah, everyone should play it.
I didn't mention it before, but like a recent collection of like the Game Boy games has come out.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Everywhere, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dang, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, the absence of Dracula, you feel it. Because usually Dracula's coming back and being evil again. And they had the perfect setup for it, but they didn't do it. From my understanding, they were probably going to do it, but they didn't do it because they didn't think they would get another season after the final season of the original series. So they had it end all happily with Dracula and his wife coming back to life and living off their life happily. But I feel like the season was supposed to end with them both actually being shoved into the Rebus, and that being like the villain for the future. That would have been the perfect way to make Dracula evil again without, undoing all of his character progression.
Character development, yeah. But then again, given the Castlevania series' like whole thing with like, if you bring Dracula back, it's like it's a fresh slate. So I'm thinking they're gonna play that card. It's like,
yeah, they could do a thing where it's like, because his real name is Vlad Tepes, he could just be like Dracula's a title, and like someone else becomes Dracula.
Can be. And that's usually how it goes in the games themselves. It's like they use someone as like a catalyst to bring back something Dracula-esque.
Yeah, that would be a interesting way to do the idea of him always coming back, except it's not the same version. It's just other people taking up the mantle.
Yep.
That could be interesting, but we'll see.
Very interesting.
Like you said, coming January.
Yep, January 2025.
But yeah, that's all I got for animation. If you don't have anything,
I don't. Nope.
Yeah, moving on to comics. So some physical comics picked up from local comic shop, Atomic Books, recently. Ultimate Black Panther #7. T'Challa begins his attempt to win back the hearts of the people of Africa from Ra and Khonshu as they attempt to destroy Wakanda. And to help him fight this war, he sends Killmonger and Storm to America to find someone who dabbles in both sorcery and science to help them better understand vibranium, which turns out might have more uses to it than what they've been doing with it so far. In Ultimate Spider-Man #8, Kingpin gathers his lieutenants, who each rule a borough in New York and are all made up of various members of Spider-Man's rogues gallery, 6 in particular. A sinister 6, if you will. So I also read Ultimates #4, which was a great issue, probably the best issue so far, where we learned the origins of this iteration of Doctor Doom, who is Reed Richards instead of Victor Von Doom. The Maker, who's an evil version of Reed Richards, who people want Miles Teller to play him in live action because he
Mm-hmm.
because he played Mr. Fantastic in that bad movie. People want him to play the evil version of him. But yeah,
Makes sense.
the maker sabotaged this version of Reed Richards' work, resulting in the Fantastic Four dying on from their trip to space and Doom being arrested. While he's in prison, the maker tortured him and deformed him, and now he just goes by Doom. And he's a hero, but he dresses like Doctor Doom, but he wears blue instead of green.
Mm.
It's a very sad backstory. Like I can't really describe how
Yeah.
messed up it really is. Like the maker is out here pulling the Reverse Flash level of hate on this man.
No,
Like
for real.
literally going back in time and messing up this man's calculations so that his friends and family die. Like it's messed up.
Yeah, that is crazy.
So also physically, the last one I got is Helen of Windhorn #4 by was it Tom King, and I can never pronounce her name, but it's like Billikay Evely is the artist. Her art is great.
Mhm.
But Helen trains under her butler to eventually go on an adventure with her grandfather, which she does to her enjoyment. But after a near-death battle, her grandfather forbids her from adventuring with him ever again, causing a rift between the two. Like if you just look up Helen of Windhorn and just look up images and art, you'll see it. It's beautiful. Um, the Flash #11. Um, we get some more techno babble that I struggle to explain, but ultimately, it was discovered that the forces of was it speed, strength, still, and sage draw from the primal energies of time itself, which is an interesting explanation for all of them, except sage, because the sage force revolves around mental powers, and I'm like, I can understand how speed and stillness and strength can come from manipulation of time, but not
Mhm.
super like brains or like telekinesis and stuff like that. That one, well, telekinesis maybe, but not like thinking better. I guess thinking
Right.
you can think faster. It's weird. I guess you can kind of
It
explain it.
sounds
Don't
weird.
like the rest of them. I'm like, yeah, you can relate time to all of that stuff, but to your brain, maybe I guess. Um, but last but not least, I actually didn't write enough about this. But Birds of Prey #12. Vixen regains her powers, and the Birds of Prey go on offense against the person who is trying to murder them because in the future, like Barbara, um, Oracle slash the original Batgirl, like gets their mother killed somehow. And also still reading New Mutants from the 80s. Still good.
Nice, nice, nice.
Can't wait for Magic to show up. Love Magic. She's about to get a new solo comic. I'm gonna read that.
Ooh, exciting.
But yeah, that's all I got for comics. You
I
think?
have something.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So it's a really quick thing. So the first volume of the Trigun Deluxe Omnibuses released about 4 or 5 days ago. I said I was going to wait. Because I had pre-ordered the one that's like the first, I think, 3 volumes of Trimax, but this first one that just released is like just Trigun, like volumes 1 and 2 collected. And I said I was going to wait. I found a really good deal on it, so I got it anyway. And to be honest, I'm a little disappointed. There's a lot of errors in the translation that they did not fix. I wasn't expecting like a whole retranslation of it, but at least like fixing some of the typos and some of the mistranslations. And then the gold foil on the front rubs off really easily. So I need to get like sealing spray to prevent that from happening. Otherwise, it's like it's really nice. It's a very large, very heavy book. It looks good on a shelf, but like for actual reading of the manga, it's kind of disappointing, honestly.
No, that's
Um,
unfortunate.
yeah, a little mad that I dropped so much money on it. And it's in this state. Hopefully, for the Trimax ones, they kind of get their act together. Because Trimax is my favorite, and I've been rereading that recently. I just got done with volumes 5 and 6, which is my favorite arc in the entire manga.
What arc
We
is
love
that?
Mid Valley here.
Uh,
That's the Dragon's Den arc with Mid Valley and Hopper. And hot take of mine, it is peak. I think it's the best arc in the manga. That is including the end. But yeah, I hope they get their stuff together. Like Dark Horse
wait, is
was
Hopper
clearly
the dude
capitalized.
with the like the gun in his arm that shoots up the town?
That's no, that's a different dude. I
What?
forgot what that dude's name is though. Hopper's the one that's like the weird drill type
Oh, yeah,
guy.
I
Yeah,
remember.
him. Yep.
There's just so many
And
fights that end up happening that end up destroying towns. They all get mixed up together.
yeah. That's the humanoid tycoon for you. But yeah, like Dark Horse, do better. Do way better,
Make your app
please. For the
better.
love of
Why
God.
can't I read Trigun on the app
Right.
horizontally? Why, when I turn it horizontal, instead of seeing 2 pages, I can only see 1 at a time? Fix that.
What's the point of that?
Fix that, okay?
It feels like it almost feels like Trigun is Dark Horse's bastard child. It's like they know that it's popular and that it's profitable, so they'll do the bare minimum to like get the money from it, but not actually like put any effort into it because they know that a lot of the fans, because we're so desperate for content, will engage with it anyway. Which is sad. Yeah. Thinking about canceling my pre-order for Trimax, but I have my fingers crossed that it'll at least be a little better. And if the first volume of Trimax is bad, then I will not be getting the rest more than likely until they fix the issues.
How many volumes is the first part of the series?
2. So it's High Noon at July, and then I forgot what the second one is called, and they're collected into one omnibus.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I knew there were 2 volumes. I meant like, so it's 1 omnibus.
Oh, yeah, it's one omnibus of both volumes,
Okay.
and it's huge. Like,
oh, okay. A couple like manga I've been thinking about getting are at some point Akira, because we talked about before about how like the movie isn't the whole story, and I want to start reading the manga. But also where is it? Full Metal Alchemist. I haven't read the Full Metal Alchemist manga in a long time, and I want to read it. I also need to just rewatch the anime. It's been a while. But yeah, I need to finish up Bleach. Like I said, I only got like 15, 20 chapters left, and I could easily run through that. And I need to watch that before the anime comes back, or at least while the anime is back. Before the anime catches up to me somehow. But yeah, this anime season is going to be lit. Some good anime going to come out.
Yeah.
And I'll be able to watch. As weird as it sounds, I'll be watching Bleach on Disney Plus.
That's so strange to say.
Because Bleach is on the only, as far as I know, the only way you can watch Bleach in America is on Hulu and Disney Plus. Hulu has not officially combined with Disney Plus, but you can watch Hulu stuff through Disney Plus. And this is just them basically betaing the future integration of Hulu with Disney Plus. If we're being real, eventually Hulu will cease to exist. It already feels like it doesn't, because I have not opened a Hulu app in so long, and I finally have Hulu without ads. So it's gonna be lit. I'll be able to watch Bleach without ads.
Nice.
But moving on to TV and film. Rest in peace to James Earl Jones.
Yes.
Every time his name pops up in the news, you're always concerned that he passed away, and this time it's for real. Like, I hate the way people words happy birthday posts for old people annoy me to no end. Not even just old people, any celebrity. People post happy birthday posts, and sometimes with black and white photos. And I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? You can't do that. Right. You always make it seem like people are dying when you do that. But yeah, it's wild. A lot of voice actors have just been passing away recently. And the reality is, they're just old. Like, as sad as it is, he lived a long life. He was born in like 30 something. He was in his 90s when he passed. He was like 97, I think.
93.
Like, 93. Like, he was up there. Like, he's been around for a while. Like, I was thinking about, like, he was like in his like late 30s, or like when he was playing Darth Vader for the first time, and like in his 40s when he's playing Darth Vader in the 80s. And like, yeah, and like this man was alive during just segregation and
movement.
Like, the civil rights movement. Like, this man has lived a long life, and like he deserves rest. You know, it's been a while. He's been around. He's been around a block.
Yep.
So, you know, rest in peace, James Earl Jones. You know, his portrayal of Mufasa and especially Darth Vader have had a profound impact on my life. You know, rest in peace.
And also him in Fences was really, really good. Yeah, like all the Fences like plays.
I've always seen those clips of him in Fences.
Yep.
But moving on to video games, we got here fast. We're only 30 minutes an episode, and
wow,
it's gonna be real short. Like, maybe with these last couple of discussions, we were to push it towards an hour, but it's gonna be a short episode.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
So the only indie game I got today, you know, bring up any if you have, is a Hollow Body. It's a shipper's biggest fear. You're grounded in the exclusion zone. 20 miles of death and decay sealed off by the towering, suffocating walls erected after the collapse. Alone, stranded,
Mm.
and with limited resources at your disposal, you'll have to push your way through the zone, solve environmental puzzles, manage resources, and fight for your life as you try to find a way to escape beyond the wall. Play as Micah,
Ooh.
an unlicensed black market shipper who will stop at nothing to find her missing partner. But yeah, Hollow Body is a classic survival horror game, inspired by early 2000s horror titles with a cinematic blend of dynamic and fixed camera angles. Um, it has logic puzzles, resource management, and limited combat with a focus on narrative and exploration. It's
Ooh.
fully voice acted. Um,
Nice.
Takes place in a dystopian near future. Um, it has this is a lot of this is according to the Steam page.
Mm.
Carefully paced save points to ensure tension is maintained while respecting the player's time,
Ooh.
which I thank you for respecting my time.
Appreciate. Yeah.
Uh, difficulty options to aid players who prefer exploration over combat, which what is it called? Crow Country does something similar.
Love Crow Country. I've
And
been
it's
watching a playthrough of it recently.
yeah,
It's so good.
it's out on PC right now. And yeah,
Wow.
old school survival horror fans are eating good with Signalis, Crow Country, and this,
Oh, for
all of which I
yeah.
eventually plan on checking out. But before that, I've decided that I'm going to play the Resident Evil 1 GameCube remake sometime soon. Um, was I just finished watching a video, a retrospective on Resident Evil Code Veronica, which I've watched a
Mhm.
retrospective from the Sphere Hunter before, who's a big like Resident Evil YouTuber. And that game is it's very underrated Resident Evil game. Because it's called Code Veronica instead of like Resident Evil 4, which the reality is Code Veronica is basically Resident Evil 4.
Right.
Code Veronica is more of a mainline Resident Evil game than Resident Evil 3 is, honestly. Because the original Resident Evil 3, much like the remake, is a much shorter experience than Resident Evil 1 or Resident Evil 2. It's a much smaller
Mm.
experience. And like Code Veronica is like very important to the overall story of the Resident Evil world. It is the game where Claire finds Chris.
Right.
who like when she was first introduced in Resident Evil 2, that's what she's doing. She's looking for Chris, and you find out what Chris has been doing after the events of the Spencer Mansion, like where he went to and what's happening. This is the
Mhm.
game also where, spoiler alert for people who don't know, this is the game where you find out that Wesker is still alive.
Yep.
Yeah, this is the game where that's revealed, and it got lost to time because it's just, well, a lot of people still love it, of course, but like
Mhm.
because it's not a mainline game with a number in its title, that a lot of people just kind of don't pay attention
Yeah,
to
they're
it.
missing out.
So, but like they're going to remake Resident Evil 5 eventually, but everybody and their
Mm.
mother is like, they have to remake Resident Evil 1 and Code Veronica first, otherwise so many
It
people
won't make
will be
sense. Yeah.
so confused because you play as Chris, who, if you've only played the modern Resident Evil games, you only know Chris from Resident Evil 7 and the DLC, where he has a completely different face than he does in any other Resident Evil game.
Yep.
From the very end of Resident Evil 8, you play as Chris for a short period of time, and that's it. Uh, um, and also Wesker shows up in like the end credits of Resident Evil 4 remake, and like in like the DLC, as like a voice over a microphone talking to Ada. But like other than that, like you don't know who Chris or Wesker is, and they are two of the main it's the main protagonist, and main antagonist of Resident Evil 5. So like
Right.
they have to do Resident Evil 1 first. Also that's a big part of Jill's story as well as Resident Evil 1. Who Resident Evil also, I mean, Jill also comes back in Resident Evil 5 in a way that I won't spoil. Like you got to do it. Also, Code Veronica
You just gotta do it.
is a big part of Claire's story. Like if they're going to remake
Yeah.
5 and eventually maybe 6, they got to do 1 in Code Veronica first. Because there's just so much context missing if they don't, and just go straight to 5. That would be so weird.
Yeah.
Though arguably it was weird that they did 2 first, but that one was more understandable because they had already remade Resident Evil 1 before.
Right.
But speaking of remakes of fixed cameras, I've recently been thinking about how even though I wanted more from the Snake Eater remake, I understand like how the people who didn't well, hold on. Why did I write that like that? This happens at least once every episode where I read my notes and go, what does that say? What am I trying to say? I've been thinking about how I wanted more from the Snake Eater remake, but some people with the Snake Eater remake is exactly what they wanted, and I get that more
Mm.
now because if PlayStation were to ever remake the first God of War game, I want them to do exactly what they're doing with Metal Gear Solid Delta. I do not want them to make any significant changes. I don't want them to change the story. I don't want them to change the level design, the enemy design, nothing. Same game, it just looks like a modern game. I still want it to be more stylized like the old games was. I don't want it to be as photorealistic as the modern God of War games. Um,
Makes sense.
and I wanted to have the option, similar to Snake Eater, to have over the shoulder camera and fixed camera. That is if they ever decide to remake those first God of War games, I need that.
Mm-hmm.
But they probably won't do that. But
Yeah.
moving on, Concord has been shut down.
Yeah. When I saw the tweet on my feed after we had talked about it last episode, I was like, "Oh, Deshaun's gonna be pissed."
Yeah, so Concord has been completely shut down, and there's a statement from Fireworks Studios I'm going to read. Um, Concord fans, we've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch of Concord on PlayStation 5 and PC, and want to thank everyone who has joined the journey aboard the North Star. Your support and the passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. However, while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we intended. Therefore, at this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6th, 2024, which it is now, 16th?
September 16th.
Um,
Yeah.
and explore options, including those that will better reach our players. You know what? This is my first time reading this in a while, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll get to the insight I just made, having reread that part. While we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will cease immediately, and we will begin to offer a full refund. Which I got that refund. Like they just issued it. Like you don't gotta ask for it. They just give it to you.
Oh wow.
They just refunded everybody.
Wow.
And yeah, Steam Store, Epic Game Store, and of course PlayStation Store. Um,
Yeah.
it's
What about
gone.
physical
Well, if you got it
copies
physically,
though?
that's up. That's on you.
Oh well.
That's on you. I don't know why you would get this game physically. This is not the type of game you buy physically.
Fair.
If I'm being real, unless also,
Yeah.
I mean, kinda. I mean, I get getting it physically because it's like now you have this thing that's rare. Um,
Right.
I don't even know if they released it physically. They probably did though.
Hold on.
But yeah, I know a lot of people felt like it was a generic Overwatch clone and didn't like that PlayStation were making this over their usual single player stuff. But my hope is that they're gearing up to go free to play instead of completely getting rid of all that work. And after reading this again, because I haven't read it since they first made this statement, I think it's very clear that that is what they're doing. That they're not completely shelving this game. That they're behind the scenes reworking it to make it a better game, and will likely re-release it as free to play. Um,
Mm.
the game has good bones. It just needs to be reworked a little bit. And while I agree that PlayStation needs to reevaluate this multiplayer initiative they've got going on, I don't think that completely axing already released games is the solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully they're just doing some stuff behind the scenes to make it more fun. And if it's free, I ain't gonna complain. So, but speaking of PlayStation being weird, the PlayStation 5 Pro. We got the announcement of
Yeah.
the PlayStation 5 Pro with like a 9-minute video that well, never mind, I'm not gonna say that. But yeah, we got an announcement of the PS5 Pro. The intention behind the Pro is to bridge the gap between fidelity and performance and remove the choice between having to choose. I wrote between way too many times, and to remove the choice between the two. For those who don't understand what that means, most AAA PS5 games have a fidelity and a performance mode. Fidelity mode targets a higher pixel resolution with lower frame rates, essentially targeting higher quality graphics over game performance, while performance mode targets higher frame rates with lower pixel resolution, therefore
Hmm.
prioritizing how smooth the game plays over how pretty it looks. The difference between the
Interesting.
two like it varies from game to game, but for the most part, it's never drastic enough, I feel like, for the average consumer to notice. I barely notice, and I tend to always play on fidelity mode because I just like my games to look nice. Because I mostly play single player games, so I'm not worried about performance. Um,
Right.
to achieve what they're doing with the PS5 Pro, they've upgraded the GPU, giving it a 28% faster memory, enabling up to 45% faster rendering speed for gameplay, which is that's pretty significant. 45% is crazy. Um, advanced ray tracing, adding even more powerful ray tracing that provides more dynamic reflection and refraction of light, and AI-driven upscaling, introducing PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR as they called it in the announcement video, which is an unfortunate name.
Yeah.
Given USSR adjacent, but
Yep.
what it does is it essentially uses machine learning based tech to provide super sharp image clarity by adding a bunch more detail. I know for a lot of people are going to hear AI and go, "What? They're using AI and get." Look, AI is a hot button issue right now, but this is one of the good uses of it. AI has been being used for a very long time in video games. It's generative AI that's the problem, not just AI overall. AI has been being used for a very long time in various different ways that are like morally correct versus generative AI.
It's generative AI that's
exactly AI that's stealing from people and making stuff based off of other people's work without permission. That's the problem. But these features will also the AI scaling will also provide a boost in resolution and frame rate to over 8,500 PS4 games. So PS4 games will also be seeing a boost in resolution and frame rate due to if you play them on PS5 Pro. The console, so in the video, the way they show it is they use the latest Ratchet and Clank game as a example, where like they show like super zoomed in what the pixels look like, and like just how many more pixels it adds due to AI upscaling, and it is like noticeable, and it's like, oh, that's pretty cool how much clearer it's making it look, and just imagining how that could work on older games is interesting. I'm excited to see like Digital Foundry videos breaking it down. Those videos are always fun for me. But it comes with a 2 terabyte solid state drive and releases November 7th at $700, which is insane.
800 actually.
Especially
$799.
Is it? Hey, Dijon here. You're gonna hear me go off on a rant about how upset I am that I just found out that it's $800. Later on, I double check and realize it actually is $700. Like I said the first time, Aiara was mistaken because they read the pricing in another country where it was 800 of, I believe it was euros in the UK. So yes, we know that it is actually $700, which is still a ludicrous amount, but still, not $800, which you're gonna hear me go off about for honestly a bit, but ultimately the rant I go on isn't too different from the rant I would have went on otherwise. So enjoy.
Yeah, it's $799.
Oh, you're right. Wait, hold on. Yeah, no, you're right. Wait, hold on. Give me a second.
Yep, $800.
You're right.
Come with a disc
Oh my
drive,
God, you're right.
like...
Hold on, I'm getting there. Don't you're getting ahead of yourself. Okay, we'll get there. Wait, oh my God, I was thinking it was $700 this whole time, and I already thought that was crazy.
$800.
Oh my God, when you, it's crazy low key phones cost that much.
Yeah.
When you put it into that perspective, low key, my mind starts to go, is that much? Because that's how much a phone costs.
Yeah, but it's like a phone has way more use case.
That's true.
Than
that
this.
Is true.
And that's like keeping in mind the fact that the regular PS5, it's still $500, isn't it?
Yeah. And
like...
what I'm gonna get to is the fact that the price hasn't gone down in the slightest, and in some territories, it's actually gone up.
That's ridiculous.
And everywhere the controllers are increasing in price.
What? You know what?
This is the problem. The problem isn't the existence of it, it's the price. So
yeah,
like usually, like when the PS4 Pro came out, the price of the original PS4 and the PS4 Slim at the time went down by like
it's not
$50 to $100, because it was like, yeah, you got a new one out, you can buy that one for the price that it's at, where it was like $600 or whatever, but the old ones are now cheaper. So if you didn't have a PS4, now's the time to get a PS4. It was probably the exact same way when the PS5 came out. The PS4 probably dipped in price significantly. I mean, you finally got a PS4, and we're like, what, 3 years or 4 years into the PS5 life cycle?
Yep, I got mine for $150, which is reasonable.
Would you got the Slim or like the regular version?
I think.
Or the Pro? You could.
I have the I think I have the regular. I'd have to check.
Does it sound like a jet
My
engine?
No, it's
That's
really
good.
quiet.
But yeah, it's two. No, oh my god, it's $300. Because I wrote 200 because I thought it was 700. Because my brain didn't recognize those nines as nines. I can't believe it's $800. That makes me upset now.
Yeah,
it makes me so more upset that because I was already upset, but now I'm more upset because I'm like $700 is like I could if I were to sell my current PS5 and get this, I'd be like, okay, I can justify that. But
right.
unless I'm gonna sell my PS5 full price, I can't justify it anymore. I just can't. Because at first I was immediately like, no, I'm not gonna get a PS5 Pro. I don't need that. But then I was like, you know what? If I sell my PS5 for like $400, maybe
You don't need it.
it'll
You
shake
don't
out.
need it.
But the thing that really held me back was the fact that the
Mhm.
disk drive is separate, and I would have to pay an
Separate.
additional 80 to potentially
80.
$100 for a
Yep.
separate disk drive. Which this is the future of gaming.
It's highway robbery.
The PlayStation 6 is going to be the same way. They've done it twice now.
Sure.
They have a version of the current PS5 model, which is a lot of people call it the Slim, but it completely replaced the original model. And if you get the digital version, you can. At the time, I was like, this is a cool idea. Where if you get the digital version, but for some reason you decide, you know what, I would actually like to use disc on it. You can add a disc drive to it. That's actually cool. But now it's been used for evil. This actually really cool idea is being turned around on us for evil. To make us have to buy additional stuff like their goddamn Apple, which is the problem. They are
Right.
Apple now because they don't have any competition because they're not worried about Nintendo and Nintendo isn't worried about them because they have two completely different markets on lock right now. Nintendo is like, I don't care what Xbox and PlayStation's doing. We've got our own thing going on that they aren't really touching because they aren't in the portable console field right now. And PlayStation's like, Nintendo's not bothering us because they're doing their own thing. We only got Xbox to worry about. And right now, Xbox is trash. So we can afford to pull this bullshit. This is the problem with monopolies. PlayStation isn't a monopoly yet, but they're damn near close to one because Xbox is so ass that PlayStation can do whatever they want and people will pay for it because the alternative is a console with no games.
Yep.
So it's like I can play all those Xbox games on my PlayStation plus, third party games. I mean, plus all of these really good PlayStation games, and even then, Indiana Jones, which people thought was going to be Xbox exclusive, is coming to PlayStation sometime next year. Which the game itself comes out, I think, in December, and then like mid next year is coming to PlayStation, and that probably also means that Doom: The Dark Ages is gonna come to PlayStation eventually. So now people no longer have incentive to stick to Xbox because they bought Bethesda, but those Bethesda games will not be exclusive to Xbox. Guess what also not going to be exclusive to Xbox? Motherfucking Blade. Blade is going to be on PlayStation 2.
I was about to say, yeah.
Marvel isn't going to have that game only be on Xbox where it's going to make no money. Because if they did that, unfortunately, my probably favorite game studio, Arcane, would cease to exist if they did that. If Blade was only on Xbox, the final bastion that is Arcane Leon, which is half of the studio where the other half got cut, would go away.
Right.
So I'm glad that it will most likely be coming out on PlayStation now because that means that the game will probably actually do good. But yeah, PlayStation, how about you make some games, okay? Where are the games, PlayStation? How are you going to release a new console when there aren't any games on the current console?
Give us some games. Console with no video games for it.
Okay, we say that, but also Astro Bot just came out, and I'm going to talk about that. Astro Bot's great. And also Final Fantasy came out earlier this year. They got games, but they need more. They haven't been releasing as many as they should. Yeah. They need to be releasing more games because games just take forever to make now. And it's I get that, okay? You should be making these games that take a lot of, that you're giving the developers a long time to make. But you also, I feel like, should be making games that don't take as long to make to hold this over in the meantime. You should be having smaller studios making smaller games within early PS3 era. It's still easily my favorite video game era of all time, but also you got a bunch of side games that were spin-offs of major franchises all the time in between 2005 and 2013. You always got those types of games for big major franchises, we get smaller games in between. Bring that back. Bring that back. Give us
Right.
smaller games in between
think-
this that to hold us over, made by smaller studios. But you know, let's talk about graphics, okay? So
Mhm.
graphics, they plateaued. They plateaued. Performance needs to be the focus for the future of consoles. With that said, now that graphics are at their peak, creating a console that performs well while hitting those peaks is important. And from a technical standpoint, this console is great. It's like you look at what it can do, and you're like, that's a step in the right direction. Like, I feel like the conversation gets too bogged down by a people getting upset about graphics that it's like, but also the fact that this game could run Final Fantasy VII Rebirth at the highest resolution at 60 frames per second is impressive. And that will result in games not even as powerful as that also running exceptionally well on this console, which is a good thing. Performance should, because graphics are just at their peak, now we need to focus on, okay, how do we have these games that look really good? Now, how do we always make sure that they perform really well? And that's cool. It's great that they're doing that. That's cool. But despite my complaints, Patrick Klepek on Twitter makes some really good points. He said, the thing about the PlayStation 5 Pro is that I wonder if it's simply a glimpse into the future of all non-Nintendo gaming hardware, the equivalent of annual, largely inconsequential phone upgrades. Console hardware has simply reached a plateau. With the PlayStation 5 Pro, aren't you really just buying a PlayStation 6 Lite? Do you really anticipate Sony shipping many PlayStation 6 exclusive games in a few years when they could sell them to PlayStation 5 Pro users too? If the last few years are any indication, the future of hardware innovation is in handhelds, not console boxes, which is PlayStation. I know they're afraid to, but I feel like if they made a new PSP, it would do really well. I feel like a new PSP would do really well. Like, I beg of you. Like the goddamn God of War meme. PlayStation, make a new PSP, and my life is yours. Okay, please, I beg of you. But yeah, if the last few years are any indication, the future of hardware innovation is in handhelds, not console boxes, which is fine. I'd pay for a superpowered. I mean, I don't know about this, but $1,200 Steam Deck if Valve would let me. Plus,
I don't know about all that.
Plus, isn't there an argument that as an industry, the continued advancement of graphics fidelity driven by console cycles is actually detrimental to making healthy, fiscally sound video games? Yes, PlayStation. Not all games need to look that good, okay? And arguably, good is subjective. Like, it's technically good, and that's objective, but like, not like realism isn't the end all be all of like graphics. Like, sometimes you just need a good stylized game, and I'll talk more about that like right after in the next segment after the PlayStation. But it hasn't taken us to a good place. Lastly, as pointed out by my retweet, the point of a Pro price is in fact to shock you. If you are shocked, you are not the target audience. The point of Pro devices is to soak people who are price insensitive. It could have been 800. Oh wait, it is 800, and it largely wouldn't have mattered. So at the same time, you don't have to buy this. So the existence of this thing and its price isn't the problem. It's the pricing of the older models. Wait a minute, I'm looking up. Now that he said that, I'm almost certain it actually is 700. Okay, I think I understand why you thought it was $800 because that's the price in euros. But it is $69.99 in USD. So it is
ridiculous.
I'm not gonna lie, that puts me back in the realm of maybe I'll buy it. I have a problem, Aiara. Also, I'm being real with you, I can afford it. I can absolutely afford it.
Yeah, you can, but like, it's the principle of the matter.
It is the principle, but anyway, but so I wanted to look. We jumped all over the place. I had an organization, but I got heated. Let's talk about the disk drive some more, okay? So again, the current disk drive for the current PS5 model costs like $79.99 separately from the PS5 itself. So we assume that is going to be the base at the bare minimum. That is how much the disk drive for the PS5 Pro is going to cost. But it might cost a little bit more. If I'm being honest, it's probably going to be like $89.99. And hopefully not, but it probably will. Obviously, like, this is probably going to be what the PS6 is going to be like, separate disk drive. But this is like pushing us further and further toward an all digital future. And the biggest fear with that is games preservation. So there are several like positives that come with the digital future. Like for PlayStation specifically, they save money on physical manufacturing process, but also there's less plastic waste because they're just making less disc and plastic case for those plastic discs to go inside of, which is always a good thing.
Makes sense.
And we save on physical space in our homes, and it's more convenient to download a game rather than having to order it or go to the store and buy it. So, it's better for the environment and it saves you time and space, but people are still against it because it opens the door for games to get lost to time by simply being removed from digital storefronts. I own dozens of PS3 games physically for that very reason. Like the Deadpool game was re-released for PS4 and Xbox One, but some rights issues happened and it was completely removed from those storefronts. So the only way you can play it is physically on Xbox 360 and PS3. Or actually, there are some PS4 discs out there as well. It came out physical on PS4 and Xbox One as well. So you can only buy that game physically. You can't even buy that game digitally. So luckily that game exists physically. But what happens when that happens to something in the future? The rights are lost, and then there are no physical copies of it because physical doesn't exist anymore. So it's just gone forever.
Right.
And the only way you can play it is probably to pirate it, which you don't want us to pirate. But then you push us towards a world where we'll be forced to pirate. Like,
I have no choice.
I've said it before. Something needs to be put in place to where these games are always preserved, and like under uber specific circumstances can they be removed from storefronts. Like there need some laws need to be put in place to where these games are readily preserved, because I'm not against all digital, if I'm being honest. I like collecting things, so I would probably still get some games physically for that sake. But I looked it up, and like there's no way to really make disc out of anything other than plastic, which is unfortunate. But like the cases that hold them could be made out of other materials, like you got steel books, of course, stuff like that. Right. So you can make them out of like aluminum and just things that are more sustainable. Unfortunately, the discs still have to be made out of plastic. And just find ways to like it would as a result make buying physical things more expensive. But the idea would be that like you would just be buying more digital stuff anyway, but the physical option is still there. It's just still a little bit more expensive. Like that would be the ideal way to do it, in my opinion, is that there's something in place to prevent them from just deleting games from existence. And the option for physical is still there. It's just, it's not as prevalent. So there's not as much waste, and it just costs more. And as a result, people are less inclined to get it and cause more waste. So it's like, it could be positive, but the way it's being done, that's not the case.
Yeah.
And that sucks. Like,
it very much does suck.
Like I want to support a digital future, but they're not making it easy. It's real weird. Xbox, they really need to make some big moves. Like they announced a lot of really good games at what was it, Summer Games Fest? So like like a lot of those games look really good, but like I said, half of them are going to be on PlayStation most likely. But they do got a couple bangers. Like the first one that comes to mind to me is Perfect Dark. I'm so excited for that game.
Yeah.
I don't know if they gave it a release date. Maybe they said 2025 or maybe they said 2026. I can't remember. But wait, it is 2025, isn't it?
Probably, yeah.
Wait, no, I was trying to remember what year it was. 2024. Time is weird. But this is the pricing of this is weird. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna have to like put a preface at the beginning of this or something saying like I recognize that it actually is $700, because I was like, my whole life exploded when you said it was $800, and I was like, what? I could have swore it was $700, because that extra $800 like threw me completely off. But like this is weird. Like initially when I first heard the Pro was happening, I was like, I probably don't need that, but we'll see. And like in my mind, I was like, in my mind, it was going to be like $600, or like at least maybe like $650, right? And I would have been like, you know what? I'll buy that and sell my old one. But then I saw the 700 and I was like, hold on, wait a minute, that's kind of wild. Um,
Yeah.
and then I was like, but I might still get that. And then I saw the disc drive was separate and I was like, hold on now. Now we're
I don't know about
approaching
all that.
$800 and I don't know how I feel about that one. So
Right.
like, yeah, this is strange. Here's the thing that would probably make me get it, and that is the performance of Grand Theft Auto 6 on the base PS5. What's it looking like?
Yeah.
Once we get those reviews and people talk about how it actually plays on the console, that's when I might consider. And at that point, because the disc drive isn't coming out immediately, I think when is it coming out? December, November? I actually don't remember when they said it was coming out. The Pro. I think I wrote it in here somewhere. Let me just. I think the blog is still. Yep, blog's still open on my laptop. Let me check. Yep, November 7th. So the disc drive isn't coming out immediately. It's going to come out a little while after. So maybe by the time that comes out, we'll know how much that costs, and also we'll just know how this console performs in general, if it actually does the things that they say it does. And even then, it probably won't be until like more games come out, specifically GTA 6, that I probably even consider getting this. Right. Which a lot of people are assuming that there'll probably be a bundle with GTA 6 and the PS5 Pro, which I think would make a lot of sense. So it's like I'm thinking about it, but it's like if I do end up getting it, it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a bit while if I get it. Hell, I might not get it, and I might just who knows. The PlayStation 6 might be coming out sooner than we think it is. So maybe I just end up waiting until the PlayStation 6, which might actually cost $800. Unfortunately, if that's the case, I'm gonna just get a PS5 Pro instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is wild. Wild information. PlayStation do better. No, Xbox, you do better so that PlayStation can do a little worse.
Yeah.
Because they're getting bold. They're getting real bold because nobody can stop them. And we're over the hour mark. We're done it. We did it. We're over an hour mark. But I did want to talk about
things to talk about. So yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of not speaking of anything. Randomly I've been watching somebody play Kingdom Hearts for the first time. I've never played Kingdom Hearts myself. I've just been watching it. And it made me think of like Kingdom Hearts remake. What that could be like, right? Because I realized the gameplay of Kingdom Hearts is honestly kind of similar to Final Fantasy VII Remake. And also, for those of you who don't know, the person who I think directed both of those games, same person directed the original Final Fantasy VII, directed Kingdom Hearts series, and also is like, I think he directed the first remake of Final Fantasy VII. But at the very least, he's still working on those games closely. I know he didn't direct the second one, but he might have directed the first one. And is working closely on writing all three of them. Nice. I could see him remaking the Kingdom Hearts games. And I could see it playing very similar to the Final Fantasy VII remix. Because the only difference between the two is you still have a side panel where you go through your items and your magic and stuff like that. Except that in Final Fantasy Rebirth, when you go through that, time slows down. And it gives you time to select through all of that stuff. And it's a way that they incorporate turn-based into the more kind of like real-time action that they incorporate into the remakes of Final Fantasy VII. And it's very interesting. And I can see them doing something similar to that ATB system, as they call it. It was stand for Active Time Battle in Kingdom Hearts. And I feel like that could be really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
But also in terms of what it could look like in terms of graphics, I know a lot of people would be upset if they just did like I don't know if you saw the teaser that they showed a while back for Kingdom Hearts 4. I know we talked about it a little bit
so.
And how Star Wars will probably be in it. And it looks like way more realistic than Kingdom Hearts ever has.
Right.
And in my mind, that would be how the world looks on what is it called? Destiny Island and in T-Town. But when you actually go into the cartoon worlds, it's in like this modernized version of the original art style, the much more like almost cell shaded art style that it originally had. I think it would be cool if once they go into the cartoon worlds, they look more like the original game, but like I said, updated version of that. And then but when they're in like I said, T-Town, Destiny Island, they look more realistic, like they do in like the upcoming Kingdom Hearts 4.
Right.
I feel like that could be fun. I could see myself getting into Kingdom Hearts if they were to remake it. I don't see myself going back and play the old ones.
Real.
I feel like people try to make those games seem like they're way more simpler than they are. Every time I try
Yeah,
to learn what's going on with those stories, it's a lot.
I tried playing Kingdom Hearts. I just couldn't get into it. The combat system was not fun for me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
But like, yeah, I could see if they did with the you could play Final Fantasy VII Remake now. You have PS4.
Oh yeah, I could.
It's a good game. And yeah, I could see a Kingdom Hearts remake being really good if they were to do that. But last but certainly not least for me is Astro Bot. Now we go from PlayStation wrongs to PlayStation rights. Astro Bot is great. I don't play a ton of 3D platformers, but this game is great. Similar to Astro's Playroom, which comes downloaded onto the PS5 console. Astro Bot is a love letter to just PlayStation as a whole. If you like 3D platformers like Mario, you'll love this. So with the DualSense, the PS5 controller, you can feel the difference between surfaces that Astro Bot walks on through the vibrations of the controller. If you step in sand, it'll feel like the vibrations will make it feel like you're stepping through sand. And same thing when you walk on glass and concrete. It's really cool. And not a lot of games took advantage of that. The only game to really do that was Astro's Playroom, which was essentially like a tech demo for the controller. And now that the Astro Bot has his own full game, they just took advantage of that whole the haptic feedback of the DualSense controller, and it's great. It's great. If Nintendo were to incorporate something like this in their next console, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the all of the levels make reference to games, and some games that I didn't even think that they would. And I'm doing my best to avoid spoilers so that I can just discover them organically and be surprised. Like some of them really threw me off, like spoiler alert for people, but like it's like one of the early levels, and I found goddamn Solid Snake, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And like I wasn't like super surprised because I was like, yeah, you know, for a very long time, Metal Gear Solid was only on PlayStation. So I wasn't like super surprised, and then I kept going, and then I saw goddamn Psycho Mantis, and I was like, wait, what? Okay, Snake makes sense, but now we got Psycho Mantis, and then I saw Gray Fox, and I was like, hold on, what's going on? And then I went to look something up that I realized I didn't need to, because when you find them, they give you like a little blurb about who they are. They don't actually say their name. They like will give them like a nickname or something, and then a little description about them, and that's real like fun and cheeky. And then I missed it. And I didn't realize that once I go back to the main world, I can go through those and actually see what they said initially. So I went to look it up, and I might have got spoiled. I don't know if it was real. I don't know if it was fake. That Raiden is in the game, and I'm mad because I would have preferred to be completely surprised by that, because Raiden is my favorite Metal Gear Solid character, and I would have preferred to be completely surprised after finding him. But now I'm not going to be as surprised, but it's still going to be cool because I love Raiden so much. I wish I could just delete that memory and experience it without knowing, because I cannot tell you how happy I would have been to just find Raiden organically. But yeah, this game's real fun. Damn near every level introduces a new power or tool that makes each level unique. Like there's one where you can shrink. There's one where you can slow down time. And this is just a bunch of interesting abilities. For the most part though, because it's like the first game in front, the main bosses are kind of generic, and it's like they're not super interesting. Like I feel like they could work on making more like unique bosses. But other than that, the game's just really fun and easy to play. You know, it's a chosen platformer. It's not super difficult. There's some levels that can be kind of hard, but for the most part, it's pretty easy. And there's a lot of collectibles to find. Like throughout the whole thing, you're collecting like robots. Like I don't even know how to call them. I forget what the game actually calls them, but you're collecting essentially other Astrobots dressed up as PlayStation mascots.
Right. PlayStation characters, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, ones that like I hoped would be in it. Again, spoiler. That I hoped would be in it, but like I wasn't sure would be in it. But they were, and I was happy. Were Crash and Spyro. because
Oh
they're
yeah.
owned by Activision, who's owned by Xbox. So I wasn't
Right.
sure if they'd be in it, even despite because they're no longer. They used to be in Astro's place. They used to be the mascots of PlayStation, but now they're owned by a different company. They're owned by the competitor now, which is wild. But they are in it, and I was so happy when I saw them. I was like, "Oh my god, it's Crash and Spyro!" I couldn't believe it. I was just giddy playing this game. It's fun. It's just fun finding all these characters. I'm certain I'm probably gonna find characters I haven't found yet, but I'm sure in it are like Laura Croft. Um,
Hmm.
it'd be absolutely wild if Spider Man's in a game
Yeah.
because technically that's not like a PlayStation character, but like it's a PlayStation exclusive game. So
Yep.
like maybe Spider Man's in it. Who knows? Maybe Peter and Miles are in
Maybe.
this game. We'll see.
That'd be cool.
But yeah, it's in what is it? Ken Masters Street Fighter was in it, which is cool.
Yep.
And oh, you know who I haven't found that's probably in it? Probably goddamn Cloud, Strife, Sephiroth,
Yeah.
maybe Tifa, maybe the whole team.
Mm,
At the very least, Cloud and Sephiroth are probably in the game.
for sure.
But yeah, so far it's been fun. Oh, also found Dante again. It's just so good.
Oh yeah.
There are just so
Yeah.
many Easter eggs of a bunch of different characters. That are just so fun to play. I'm sure there's some I found that I'm like, who the hell are you? I don't know who you are. um, and yeah, I'm excited to see what else they got. That'll
Nice, nice,
surprise me.
nice.
But yeah, it's real fun. This is definitely a game that
Good.
whenever they actually drop the price of the PS5 and you manage to get one, that I'm sure you'll enjoy playing. But that's
Yeah,
all I
probably.
got for video games. What do you have?
I've got two quick things. So the first thing is the Touhou Danmaku Kagura Switch port came out, and of course I bought it, so now I own it twice, once on Steam, once on Switch. And the touch controls are fantastic. For those who don't know, the uninitiated, Touhou Danmaku Kagura was a Japan exclusive uh, gotcha mobile game themed after the Touhou project. It was a rhythm game, one of the first of its kind, and it was really, really good. But it only lasted for about a year before the server shut down because they couldn't afford to keep them up anymore, which was tragic. And then it was like a couple months of radio silence, and then after that, the team behind the original Dankaku announced a port to PCs and console. Well, just Switch right now, but PC called Touhou Danmaku Kagura Fantasia Lost, which came out I think late last year. I bought it, I played through it all, and I'm really enjoying it. And on their website, they had been teasing a Switch version, but there hadn't been a release date for a long time. And then earlier this year, they announced the release date, and I was like, I'm getting it on launch, even though I own the game already, because I want those touch controls. Because, like I said, it started off as a mobile game, so I'm used to those. And the Switch's touchscreen, not a lot of games take advantage of it. I really think that more should because it's surprisingly responsive, super responsive. The maps are well charted. It's overall a really good port. I know a lot of fans were like disappointed with it. I think it's a good game. I think it's really good, and especially given what like the Touhou mobile game market is looking like right now. I'm looking at you, Lost Word. What a terrible mobile game to represent our fan base. It's awful. It makes me sad. So yeah, I hope that this sparks more, you know, like specifically Toho based rhythm games because this one was really good. And it's got a song from Toby Fox in there, and they're doing another one soon, which is really exciting.
Is that the creator of Undertale, right?
That is, yes.
Cool.
He's a huge Toho fan. Got to collaborate with the creator of the Toho project, which is really neat. And then on top of that, speaking of mobile games, Balatro, the deck building poker roguelike, is getting a mobile port. It comes out September 28th of this year, and I have pre-ordered it
Surprised it
already
didn't
because
come out on mobile immediately.
yeah, it like the thing is with Balatro, a mobile port has always been in the works, but when Local Funk, who's the developer, like initially released the game, it was like really, really, really low on his list of priorities because he was developing the game by himself at that point. Like it was just him, no team. It was like a hobby project. Balatro was not supposed to take off in the way that it did. Like it was supposed to be like a thing released on Steam, and then it a couple people buy it and it's fine. But the success it saw was like super
And
not
then
harrowing to
and then
him, but
he
it was
made
like,
money and was like, "Oh wait, I could make
like
more money."
now I have to. And so now we're getting a mobile port. It's coming to Android and iOS on the 28th.
See, maybe now
I'm
I'll play
excited
it.
to play it. Yeah.
Maybe I'll get it on my tablet.
Yep. It'll be $10, which is not bad because the game itself on Steam, I think, is 15. So
I'm
small price to play.
waiting for Square Enix to make that Queen's Gambit game because they said
on mobile, yeah.
because they said like it got real popular and we're gonna make something outside of. I also need to finish the Queen's Gambit side quest in Rebirth because after I finished that story, I was like, I'm done. I'm tired. But
Real
Queen's Gambit is probably one of the best like mini games I've ever played in a game. I'm obsessed. And I need that. I need if they released an actual Queen's Gambit board and cards. I'm telling you, I'm buying it. I'm bringing it to work. We're playing Queen's Gambit. But yeah, that's all you got.
that's all I got.
Okay.
Yep, that's all I've got.
As usual, I'm Dijon, and you can find my ads above me, and Aiara's at above them. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more storytelling content, and to click notification bell so that you're notified when we post. Peace.
See ya.